Welcome to the Germinate Podcast, where agriculture, business, and innovation take root and thrive. I'm Joe Sampson, and with nearly 2 decades of experience in agricultural equipment and scaling businesses, I'm here to bring you actionable insights, inspiring stories, and strategic advice. Whether you're an industry veteran or just starting out, this podcast is your guide to cultivating ideas, expanding your knowledge, and growing your venture. So let's get started and germinate your path to success. This episode is brought to you by Haven Steel, one of the newest supporters we have here on the Germinate Podcast, and we couldn't be more grateful to have them on board. They are specialty heat treaters who've mastered the art of steel form products built to last longer and deliver the kind of durability manufacturers depend on. They support businesses throughout the globe with American-made reliability, but really here's what I appreciate the most about Haven. They're genuinely great people first. Owner Ken Brown and his team carry a purpose and a drive that's rare in today's business world. They don't just work hard on their 2 plants in Haven, Kansas and McKinsey, Tennessee. They care. They put their customers first, they show up when it matters, and they stand behind every product they manufacture. So if you manufacture agricultural equipment or distribute heat-treated components, Haven Steel is the only name you need to call. And I'll say this, Haven Steel is up to something special. They are investing, expanding, and stepping into a new chapter that's going to get this industry's attention. So stay tuned, everyone. Keep your eye on Haven Steel and learn more at havensteel.com, HAVENSTEEL.com. Welcome back to the Germinate Podcast, everybody. Thank you again for taking this ride with us. It's hard to believe. I think we're on episode, I'm getting closer to 60. So it's amazing if I really think about it. And it's with the help of all you guys for coming along with us and listening and, giving me topic ideas and providing support. All those things cannot be done without you, the audience. So super grateful for that. I have to do the stupid thing and say, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. That does really help us. Also follow us on Apple and Spotify and all the other podcast platforms. But go ahead and hit that follow button. That helps us as well. Just to be able to continue to do this and generate as much revenue as possible. Also, the sponsors, thank you so much for all you guys, specifically now the Farm Equipment Manufacturers Association. March 24th through the 26th, I've been saying this on every one of these. That's the next convention in San Antonio. So if you haven't signed up for that yet, please do sign up for that. Go to their website, farmequip.org. Register for the event. It's amazing what you can do and what kind of business opportunities you can find in the halls of a convention like that. It's all about a network, and we're going to kind of talk a little bit about that today with my 2 guests. I typically don't have 2 guests, but I've been doing more of the 2 guest thing, and I kind of actually like it. I think it's interesting for the audience. So what was it? December of 1999. You 2 probably weren't even born yet, but I was, and I was coming off of the University of Northern Iowa. I had just graduated with a communications degree, and I remember I lived on this house on Main Street in Cedar Falls, and I packed my car and drove away and thought to myself, what am I going to do now? I had all this schedule and I don't know what I'm going to do. And so, I'm still maybe trying to figure all that out all these years later. But the reality of it is I specifically remember that time and how nerve-wracking it was and how sort of scary it was and how also exciting and optimistic I was as well. Those are some of the things that we forget to talk about. And so I've got Jack O'Brien and Shae Doherty on the podcast today, and they are going to represent all you college kids out there that just graduated and are in the working world and looking to start your new, I guess, your next step in life. So Shae and Jack, welcome aboard. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me.
Really, I'm truly grateful for this. I know you guys have a lot going on in your lives. And it's that time where you're like, okay, my schedule that's been set for me is now officially over. So I've got to move on now and do something a little bit different. So why don't we start, Shae? We'll start with you, and you just talk about your kind of journey, where you went to school, what you graduated with, and where you're at now with everything. So go ahead.
Yeah, so my name is Shae. I just recently graduated from the University of Iowa, and I did that a semester early, so I just finished about a month or 2 ago in December, and I played soccer there. So I spent 3 years at Iowa and an additional semester my freshman fall down at Belmont University playing soccer before I transferred into Iowa. As of right now, I have graduated with a bachelor's in marketing, and I've just begun my career search and my narrowing down of companies and possible positions that I might want to work in or find fulfillment in that area. So I'm just kind of at the beginning processes of that and figuring out where to go next and how to get there.
Cool. Awesome. Like I said, I remember those times. Jack, what about you? Go Hawks, by the way. Go Hawks. We got 2 Hawkeyes on here. Let's do that. That was intentional, by the way.
Yeah, I grew up and attended Iowa as well as Joe mentioned there, and really enjoyed my time in Iowa City. I got my communications degree, and that was a few years ago now as I worked in sales right after I graduated. Had a couple sales jobs where I did business to business and then also business to consumer, a little bit of a good training program that I got into with enterprise rent a car.
Mhm.
And was able to take on some management roles and learn a lot as a young professional there. And with that experience, I decided that I wanted to go back, get a little bit better business skills, double down on that, and I got my MBA. And that was a great experience for me because I was able to do that overseas as well. So I moved to Dublin about 2 years ago now to start my MBA. Finished that process up and had just a tremendous experience. Met so many great people, and just grew personally as well. Put myself in a lot of situations that were new. Even trying to figure out the bus and train system around Dublin, but just really loved that experience and finished that in November of this past year. So came home right before Christmas, moved back, and now just going through the whole process of getting into the job market and trying to find the best opportunities for myself.
Cool. Well, let's get into this because it's you guys are in similar career, similar paths. You kind of graduated. Jack, you took you continued on your education, and I guess I'm curious right off the bat, what made you think to do that? Was that a conscious decision? You said you did the enterprise rent a car thing, and then maybe you weren't as fulfilled. You learned a lot, but you're like, maybe I need more education. Did somebody give you that advice? Did you come up with it on your own? Where are you at? And I guess maybe what advice could you provide Shay? She's right in that 2 years ago spot where you're at. So fire away.
Yeah, terrific. Well, one thing I was of the mindset it's never going to hurt me to have more education.
Okay.
I saw it as a good opportunity just to learn and really put another mark on my resume where it's like I've also accomplished this. So that's really my attraction to it. And I did get some really good advice from both my dad, who I really admire and look up to, but also some different recruiters about the opportunities that could bring in my life. And just the benefits of getting that at a young age and just showing that you can set yourself apart in that way and really have that business acumen to be successful. So that's how I got into it. I've really found that it was something that changed the way I viewed business. All my classes were very valuable to me, and I'm close with my professors. We still chat back and forth. Send messages and whatnot because they really did revolutionize the way I look at a lot of business opportunities and just different aspects of my career.
Nice. Um, okay. So Shay, you haven't determined whether or not you're going to maybe go on and get further education or not, but you're in the mindset. I thought you said something interesting before we talked is, you know, we hear a lot about your guys' generation, and I don't wanna lump you all together. I don't think that's fair. I hate that when people do that. But what are some of the common things that we hear? I'm gonna go ahead and start. Now you guys are you're gonna have to either say, "Yes, this is us," or "No, this has nothing to do with us." But you're always on your phone. Let's see, what else? You're way in tune with social media. Um, everybody's anxious. Let's see. Nobody really knows what they wanna do. The best job they can think of is they wanna be a social media influencer. Um, so I'm throwing all these things out there. How much of these are true? How much of these are not true? Shay, go ahead. Are you any of those things?
I would say I'm pretty in tune with social media. Like, I
Okay.
think that's something, um, I mean, I'll scroll on Instagram sometimes,
Yep,
but I
yep.
wouldn't say I don't know. I mean, not me for influencer or constantly anxious, but I do think a lot of people in my generation are that way.
Mhm.
I mean, as in terms of influencer, I do have somebody that I used to play soccer with who is actually trying to go down that route right now.
Is that right?
So, yeah, so I can't say that that's not a part of us because I think people see that as they don't really know what else to do, and
Sure.
they already have the tools that they need. They have a phone, they have a camera. So it just seems like the easier option, I guess, at
Yep.
least, without having to do too much work. So I would say those probably make sense for mine.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you, but we do hear a lot about social media these days and how bad it is for you.
Yeah.
I do think there can be some good on social media as well. It depends on who you are. I mean, can you use your platform for the good? I mean, I'm not trying to get political here, but you can think about people like Charlie Kirk, for instance.
Mhm.
Now, not everybody loved what he had to say, but what he had to say was truly heartfelt, and I feel like he did have conversations with people. He at least tried to hear another side.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and that's the idea where social media can kind of be a good thing, and I think we're all on social media, not just your generation, by the way, it's everybody. Everybody's on it. So, Jack, your thoughts on this topic and, is it all bad? Is there partial part of this that's good? What can we do to, utilize this and take advantage of these situations? To Shay's point, she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna admit to this. I have a friend on the soccer team that's using her, I guess, let's call it name, image, and likeness for the
Yeah.
influencer type world." There's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
That's a career these days. That can be a thing. So, uh, Jack, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I'd say, I'm on my phone more than I'd like to admit, more than I wanna be. It's something that I actively try to monitor and make sure that I'm not doing.
Okay.
I'm actually not on social media a whole lot. I know Facebook's great. I connect with my family and whatnot. I find that a lot of my grandparents, aunts, uncles, whatnot, will post on there, and it's great to keep up with them. But like Instagram, Twitter, and whatnot, I'm not on very frequently. I'm actually pretty cognizant and look out to make sure that I'm staying off of it. Because one thing
Hmm.
that I've noticed with like Instagram is you follow all of your friends, but very few of the posts that I see when I get on Instagram are actually my friends. It's all of this stuff that they want to promote and all the stuff that they want to put in front of you. So what I do is I put about a half hour a day where I can get on to Instagram, Twitter, whatever. And then the rest of the day it's blocked off my phone. And I found that that's a way where it's like, okay, if I want to get on and be social for a half hour, I can be social, but I actively like want to get out there. I'm not just scrolling. It's like, okay, I want to see what my friends are doing. I want to post, comment on their posts and whatnot and actually interact with them. But once I get through all my friends' posts, then it's just a bunch of influencers and stuff that
Yeah.
Instagram wants me to see, not stuff that I'm looking
Ads.
at. It's not social anymore. It's now a marketing scheme. So I try to
Int
stay away from that. So once I get to the point where I'm not seeing my friends' posts anymore, I just log off.
Interesting. Yeah, we had an exercise with my friends, and we're all, pushing 50 years old here, but we took a golf trip last month, and I was like, "Give me your phone. Let me see your algorithm." This was a guy my age, similar. We both have kids. And it's crazy how almost identical our algorithms were. It was the same stupid videos, the same ads. It's like we're becoming a robot,
Yeah.
they want us to become this one person, which it's interesting, Jack, that you're kind of in tune with that, and I'm sure you are as well, Shay. It's kind of like, "Oh, I know the difference between a truth and a lie here. I understand it." Right?
Mhm.
But it's hard to not sit there and scroll and see what your friends are doing and see what's going on, and and also hear the message of the day. It's sort of how you get your news today. Am I wrong with that, Shay? I'm guessing you guys aren't watching CNN and Fox.
No.
You're not. You're
Yeah.
getting the news of the day through social media, right?
Yeah. They're reels, yeah.
Through Reels. So it could be talking about whatever, Israel, the ice raids in Minneapolis, whatever. It's all being sent to you through the lens of some sort of a social media platform, right?
Yeah.
Jack, you're the same way?
Yeah, yeah, and my concern with that is just that all of the feeds on social media are so short. You don't really get a good idea. You might get a headline, but headlines can be really misleading. So, when you're getting all of your information that way, it's really short clips. I don't think you get a real understanding of the situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good point. It's why I like podcasts, so you can kinda unpack things a little bit more and get to know people and, have a real conversation. It's sort of a lost art in a world that's moving so friggin' fast. So, but yeah, I mean, it's really how all of us get our news. I mean, sometimes we'll turn on some news, but that's the stark difference between like my generation and yours is we still had things like newspapers and we had to go find news or you had to talk to somebody else about it. Instead, now I feel like it's getting thrown to you all, and especially as it relates to the job market because you guys are both at a place where you're like, "Okay, I've gotta find a career. What career do I want?" And you've been fed all these things your whole life on, well, go this direction or go that direction or get into this field. And so, you know, I guess my point is, are you nervous? And we'll start with you on this one, Shay. Like, when you graduated college, were you, like, super excited, or was it sort of like a sad time in your life? It's all over? Um or where you're like, "Yes, I'm so ready for this. It's like, it's time. Everybody these freshmen are so young and, so mature." And, I remember saying that as a 23-year-old, like, "Gosh, look at the 19 and 20-year-olds. They have no idea what they're doing." But, what's your thought? What's your mentality there? Are you excited, or are you nervous, or are you gonna miss this?
Um, I did have a piece of that where, I mean, I see the freshmen who are, because I am still on campus until May, but I see the freshmen who are, walking around town or walking from their dorm to go get food, and I'm like, "Wow, that felt like
Forever.
yesterday." Like, they
Oh, it
have
felt
no
like yesterday.
yeah,
Oh,
like, they have no idea that they will be out of here before they even realize it. So,
yeah.
there's a bit of it where I'm like, "Oh, wow, I am really gonna miss this," and part of the reason I am staying in Iowa City and
Mhm.
working for the remainder of this year, even though I'm graduated, is because I live with my teammates and I live with some of my best friends. And so this is the last time I'm going to be, in the same house or right down the block from my closest people. So yeah, I'm definitely going to miss it. And I know that, yeah, I was like, I need to cherish the last few months before I leave. In terms of the job search, I will not miss school. I'm
Okay.
yeah, I am not a school
Interesting.
person. I took
Mhm.
as many online classes as possible because I'm I'm much more like, I care about my time, and I couldn't stand being in classes that I had to go reteach myself the stuff after sitting in there for an
Huh.
hour and a half because either the professor didn't articulate it well or it didn't translate to me very well. So I was like, "Why am I sitting in these classes for 2 hours and then having to go spend an additional 2 hours reteaching myself what I learned here because I didn't." You know what
You
I'm
didn't
saying? It
grasp
didn't.
it during the time. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I was like, "Why
100%.
not just take an online class and teach it myself?" So I just saved myself an additional 2 hours of sitting in a classroom. So the school aspect, I do not miss at all. I was
Yeah,
waiting to get out. And then in terms of business, I've played soccer for 18 years. So
yeah.
it's quite literally all I know. I've sacrificed so many things for that. So a part of me will miss it, but a part of me was super excited to step into this new role of finding something new to be passionate about and excited to go into every day that
Mhm.
isn't soccer. So a little bit of nervousness, but I really think that's just about the process of getting a job since that is entirely new. So I would ultimately say that I'm excited about, yeah, graduating and moving on from it.
And moving on, and yeah, and then, of course, it's so healthy to look back and reflect and be like, "Gosh, this is." It does go by fast, and I
Yeah,
will tell you this too, it's cliche to say, but so will the next 20, 30 years of your life. It's impossible for me to even look back and be like, "I cannot believe I graduated college almost 30 years ago." I mean,
yeah,
it's crazy to even think about. I can't believe my daughter is a senior in high school. She was just born yesterday. But that's just life. It's time, is a very funny thing. And the older you get, the more you think about time. So I would encourage, don't think about time right now. It's not healthy for you. But, um, Jack, what about you? Were you kind of that same kind of student, or did you like you said you had some good relationships with your professors. I'll say this, I was probably more like Shae than anybody else, but what's your thoughts, Jack?
Yeah, I had a very similar type experience and whatnot. I remember feeling the same way Shay did when she was leaving campus, just being like, "What's this next step gonna look like? What's life gonna be once I'm not on
Yeah,
campus anymore?" And that's something that I remember feeling like after my first year out of college. I looking back and being like, "That's not a fear anymore." Like you just live life and it moves on, and you don't even realize it anymore. You're just living with your coworkers now. You're seeing them every day. You have your new activities after work and whatnot. I mean, it is a huge transition, but I appreciate being through it now and realizing that there's so much more to life, and it just continues moving on. You just can't see it until you experience it.
yeah.
And when you're going to school every day for 18 years, and then that changes, of course, there's going to be a change in your mindset, and it's a little scary, but I don't know. I never really had an issue with it once I graduated college and just started on with my career.
What do you mean there's so much more to life? How did you come to that realization?
Just because I hadn't, you don't really experience, I guess, some of the freedom that you have in the workforce that you didn't have in school. Like you're always told what classes to take, you're told what to do. Everything's planned out and scheduled for you. And then once things change, you have the opportunity to, you know, pick what vacation you want to go on or whatever it might be
I
outside
gotcha.
of work. And that's a freedom that a lot of people don't understand or experience until maybe they're out of a regimented culture like that.
Yeah.
I would even agree with that just because soccer has been I have 1 day off, so my entire schedule from August until May was constructed by the coaches, so now that I'm out, it's like, "Oh my gosh, I can go take a yoga class with my friend who goes here that I never got to see." Like, one of my best friends goes to Iowa too, but it was so limited to see her just because of how busy I was with soccer. So I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I can go on a walk this afternoon. I can go do whatever tomorrow morning. I can go to a coffee shop." So there's, again, I think, so much more to life than just what I've known for the past 18 years.
Yeah, that's a really good realization and true, very true. Because to your point, Shay, like your schedules, even if you're not an athlete, your schedule is still sort of set for you. Like Jack said, like, okay, I've got a 9 o'clock class here, an 11 o'clock here. I've got a night class here. It's totally set for you from the time you're in kindergarten until you graduate, college. And then you're like, okay, now I've got to go do this. So when companies are looking to hire folks like you, what are some of the things that they should be, what are you said, Shay, you're looking at businesses right now, which I think is an interesting way to go about looking for a job instead of, going on some job board and saying, okay, there's 10 jobs here. You're actually seeking out companies that you think would be interesting to work at
Mhm.
and kind of going in another way. So what are some of the top things that you're looking at? And let's get into the nitty-gritty. Like, do you like hybrid work? Do you want to go to an office every day? Do you want to work for a big company, a little company, a private company, a family-owned company? Those types of things. And then we'll break it down into like kind of industries that you're looking to get into. So what's your thoughts on is there some things that you're like, nope, I'm not going there because they don't offer hybrid or they do offer hybrid and I don't want any part of that. What's your thoughts?
From what I've done, I'll just kind of like explain briefly what I told you before, but I've been kind of taking the job search as an interview process for myself. So instead of me being the one interviews, I'm kind of interviewing people who already work at the companies I want to work at. So I've been doing a bunch of research on different potential job positions, and there's so many different names for it. I'm not in it, so I don't know what I don't know. So I don't know
Mhm.
the difference between such and such specialist, or you know what I'm saying, just some minor detail
Oh, you mean
differences.
so many different titles out there?
Yeah,
I
all
gotcha.
that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've been finding positions that I think would align within companies and fields that I'm interested in, and then reaching out to people who are already in that specific position and then getting on a call with them or reaching out to them through LinkedIn and getting on a call, asking them a bunch of questions and just kind of figuring out what exactly that job is and what they look for in people with my kind of background and things like that. And so I wouldn't say I have a specific um, idea whether I want a private or huge small company.
Mm-hmm.
I really just care about the people and the opportunity. I've worked with amazing coaches and I've worked with coaches that I never want to work with again. So I know the difference between teams that work well together and teams that are really just there for themselves. And those teams never succeed ever. I've never seen that. So and the money also doesn't obviously the money needs to be good enough to where I can live and, enjoy my life, but I can't work for a job that I absolutely despise or with people who are miserable, I would say, to work with because it's okay to
Sure.
work with difficult people, but if you're
Yeah.
miserable and the whole team is against each other and whatever, I don't that's not an environment I wanna work in, so that's kind of what I've been looking at, and it's interesting to see who reaches back out to me from the companies that I've reached out to, and I won't say which companies, but they follow the same kind of personality, I would say. So, from not even talking to some of them, I'm able to decipher, like, you guys seem like you're a little bit, oh, you're not one of us. So it's
Oh, I
interesting.
gotcha.
Yeah,
They
it's
won't
interesting.
call you back, or they feel like, oh,
Right.
it's not
Or
important. I
won't.
gotcha.
Yeah, but I can see they've read the message. So it's interesting for
I
me to
gotcha.
see if, like, I've had 4 of those. You're all at the same company.
Mm-hmm.
The companies that have reached out to me, I've had 80 reach back out and you guys are from XYZ company. Like that tells me something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's just been interesting to go that route and kind of put them under a spotlight versus just sitting there and reaching out and hoping they reply like, I want to know about you and I want to know what it's going to be like to work with you before I sign into that and then potentially regret it. So that's just the route I've been going.
And you're saying you're flexible and what you don't know. So it's not like
Yeah,
you have certain standards, like I've got to do this, I've got to fit into this mold. It's just I'm
right.
finding out what's out there and what's
Yeah,
available, and then we'll see, right?
yeah.
I like it. What about you, Jack? Do you have any specifics? Real tangible things that you're like, I gotta have this. I know I gotta have this, or you tell me.
Yeah, I think Shay's way of approaching it is a really efficient way to do it just because, you don't want to be in a situation where you're getting into a job you don't enjoy, and your coworkers make up so much of it. So I'd say I'm going about it in a similar way, just from the aspect of I'm looking at how I can build up my career with an organization. Not necessarily the job, the immediate job, but maybe the job 2 years, 3 years down the road and
Huh.
how they can continue to promote you and help train you and really bring you along to be successful. Because I feel like if you get into a successful culture, you'll be successful personally, and also people tend to like success. Successful people tend to be nice and be able to work with other people in an efficient and genuine manner. That if you get into a bad situation with a workplace that wouldn't be there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think culture is a big thing nowadays. Everybody talks about company culture. There's huge consulting groups that companies hire that go and just try to improve the culture of a company. But that word means so many things to so many people. Um, you know, for instance, what does company culture mean to me versus you versus a 70-year-old person or versus a high school kid? It's totally different, right? And where did they come from? What's their background? And so, they might like to wear red on Thursdays and that's culture for them. Or somebody else might say, I don't want to, I want to work fully remote. I don't know. It's different. And so it's a really hard thing to be able to mold all these generations into the working world now, which is kind of what we're doing now. Um, so you said you're using platforms like LinkedIn. So you're utilizing social media. LinkedIn is social media. It's not Instagram, but you're utilizing LinkedIn to try to find people that work at these companies, reach out to them,
Mhm.
send them a LinkedIn message and say, "Hey, can we meet?" That's an active thing that you're doing. So LinkedIn's pretty important, right?
Yeah.
You use it all the time.
Yeah. all the time.
Okay. What about you, Jack? You as well?
Yeah, I'm really active on LinkedIn. I actually have paid for LinkedIn Premium, and I find that
Okay.
it's definitely a benefit.
Okay. And on LinkedIn, I'll start with you on this one, Jack. Are you looking for just interesting people? Or are you starting with the people first, or are you going for interesting companies? It sounds like Shay's saying, "Hey, I think I'm really intrigued by this particular business," and then she's finding the people. What about you? Are you finding interesting people first and then business, or what's your thought process on LinkedIn?
Yeah, yeah, good question. I've been focusing on companies or industries first and then
Okay.
narrowing it down. I figure there's good people in any industry, so
Okay.
I can find the good people, but I wanna find what fits me and then try to connect with the people, has been the way, and, there's a lot of great methods to connect with them. You can just send them a direct message, you can like their post or whatnot. There's all different ways to connect, but, I've been going through companies first.
Okay. Do you post on LinkedIn too? Do you post like thought leadership stuff, or are you just following folks? I mean, how active are you on actually posting on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I post, I wouldn't say super frequently, but I try to post when I have something to post about. If there's
Okay.
a new chapter in my career, if when I graduated school, something along those lines. I try to stay updated, but I'm not one of the daily posters. No.
You're not doing thought leadership type stuff. Okay.
No.
Interesting. Shay, is that your philosophy as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have one, and that was when I graduated college, so
You just posted, "Hey, I graduated." Got it. Yeah.
yeah, just
Yep, I got you.
yeah, something just kind of milestone
Yep.
markers and yeah.
But you guys are actively looking on them. So that's a note to all those businesses out there that if you're not active on LinkedIn, this generation is looking for you on LinkedIn. So get on LinkedIn. It's important. I agree with you. When I first kind of went out on my own, I had no LinkedIn presence whatsoever. And then I realized how important of a tool it can be and how many relationships. I think that's ultimately kind of how I met you two, although we've got to give a shout out to Jason and Maggie Nugent for hooking us all up together. But the best people on earth. They are the best people on earth. I love them to death. I love you guys for your listening to this. So thank you for setting this up with them. But anyway, we ultimately met on LinkedIn. I think that's how you guys hooked up with me after the names. And so it's important to be out there and be active if you're a company to build not only yourself up, but also your business up because Shay and Jack are looking at your business going, hey, this looks cool or this looks interesting. Um, and they're as they should be. They're interviewing you first and not having you interview them. That's the exact opposite of the way we all grew up, by the way. We just were like, okay, here's the 10 canned interview questions that everybody asked. Did they still do that, by the way? Have you guys had many interviews? Job interviews? No, you haven't had many job
Yeah.
interviews. So you don't know what it's like yet. So you don't know what they're asking you. What about what about recruiters? Are you working actively with recruiters or are you just going out on your own? Shay, go ahead.
I am in touch with one of them through a company that I'm kind of seeking out, but I don't think I will be in touch with them until I've applied. Right now, I'm just
Okay.
kind of, yeah, seeking.
You're just kind of throwing lures in the water. Got it.
Yeah.
You haven't hooked a fish yet, though.
No, I haven't.
That's the
I've applied
metaphor.
to a couple, but yeah,
Okay. Got it.
yeah.
Jack, do you have recruiters? Are you actively working with recruiters?
Yeah, I've found a couple recruiters that I've worked with, and I've also found a couple different websites that are specific to different industries that jobs are posted on there. So similar to kind of a LinkedIn job posting, all the descriptions are there, all that information and whatnot, but it's more industry based and whatnot. I found some of those to be really beneficial as well, to get some interviews and just get to talk to people through that method.
Okay. So you both said sort of the same thing. You said, I'm looking for a business that I can start with initially, but then have an opportunity to grow with, which I think is interesting. And I think that's true. Shay, you mentioned a little bit of the kind of the dollars behind things. Like, obviously, I have to work at a place where I can get, paid a sum of money that makes sense. We're not going to
Mhm.
go into the details on that, but Jack, you never did really mention the monetizing of things, but obviously that's important to you as well. I mean, you gotta make we're all none of us would work for free, right? I don't think
Sure.
anyways. It depends on what that work is, but you wanna get paid. What do you what do you think you're gonna do with the money that you're gonna get paid? Do you wanna just have enough to live? Do you wanna be able to buy a nice car? Do you wanna be able to buy a house? What's the money for? I know that's a weird question, but I mean, everybody knows what money does, but what do you think the money would be used for you on a more steady it's first time in your life you're gonna have a steady income coming in, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I the most important thing for me, I think, is just setting up a future. I get it. Like I can have a sustainable amount of money coming in now, but if you go and spend it all, you're not bettering yourself or your future at all. So that's kind of my main focus is trying to set up a sustainable future for myself.
Mhm.
I also know my costs are never going to be about as low as they are right now. I'm single. I don't have any kids, not married, none of that. So I don't have any of those additional expenses that I hope to have someday. So I want to be as prepared as possible. So I know putting a little bit extra away today might be able to help down the road if that's putting extra away. So I have a down payment for a house, whatever the situation is. Just being prepared for what the future holds.
Sure. Shay, is that similar with you?
Yeah, same with me, just kind of investing that into my future.
Okay. Do you have aspirations someday to get married and buy a house and, get a dog and a lawnmower and a garden hose and, all the simple things in life? Is that something that you dream of? Does that excite you or is that even on your mind these days?
No, that excites me.
It
I
does.
That's
Okay.
definitely, yeah, on my mind, so that's definitely something I'm working towards.
Yeah. To what? Just to buy a house? Have you even looked at the housing market? Do you guys know what the
I
housing market's
mean,
all about?
I mean, my dad's a realtor, so I hear about it. I hear
Okay,
about
that's good. That's good. Yeah.
um, but I myself have not looked at them
No.
just because 'cause I'm not in a position to be purchasing a whole house right
Yeah.
now,
That's
so
way down the road for you, but
yeah, a little bit
yeah,
down the road, but,
I gotcha.
no, family, house, yeah, all that.
All that
Some
excites
land.
you.
Mhm.
A little land, okay.
Yeah.
Jack, what about you?
Yeah, yeah, that excites me. I feel like that's the next step in everything, and that's something I'm really looking forward to. I have nieces and nephews now, so that's fun to see, and that definitely excites me and makes me look forward to what my next chapter holds, and hopefully maybe a couple dogs as well.
Nice. Couple of dogs, a house.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to buy a lawnmower, huh? Okay. Hey, folks, let's pause the podcast for a second to talk about one of the companies making the Germinate podcast possible. Want to give a huge thanks to GBGI. Here's Mark Adams.
Thanks, Joe. At our shop in Chardon, Ohio, every part we build is made with precision. From the CNC machining to the final inspection, we don't rush because we know your customers can't afford failure. If you're a dealer or OEM who wants reliability built in, give us a look. GBGI, built to spec, built to last. Learn more at gbgiusa.com. GBGI, grow with us.
A exciting partner that we just brought on board. I don't partner with those that I don't believe in. And FEMA is a network that I've been a part of for almost 20 years, over 20 years, actually. And this episode is powered by the Farm Equipment Manufacturers Association. FEMA connects the entire ag equipment ecosystem, not just manufacturers and suppliers, but a wide range of partners who help this industry run, grow, and evolve. In today's world, building farm equipment takes a heck of a lot more than steel, tooling, and production lines. It takes the people and companies who support manufacturers and suppliers behind the scenes, the problem solvers, innovators, creators, integrators, service partners, all you strategic thinkers who help businesses operate smarter, communicate better, and push this industry forward. So whether you build equipment, support the people who build it, or you're a company that wants to plug into the industry in a meaningful way, FEMA is the network to do that. It opens doors. It's where relationships become opportunities, where collaboration creates momentum, and where the future of our industry is being shaped. So if you want to be part of FEMA, reach out to me or reach out to farmequip.org, FARMEQUIP.org, and connect with manufacturers and partners driving agriculture forward. FEMA, where the whole industry connects, grows, and moves together. www.farmequip.org. What about and I asked that question for a very specific reason because when you have those dreams and hopes, it does cost money to get all that stuff. You know what I mean? You gotta obviously this might be a surprise to you, but probably not, Shay, since your dad's a realtor. Housing is like at an all-time high. It's super expensive. It's really hard to afford, especially, you all coming out of school and, you're probably not going to make $350,000 right off the bat. It'd be great if you did, but you're probably not going to, that's not reality. So you're right. You have to be responsible and save and do all those things to be able to get those things and the next things in life. But I half wonder if that still excites your generation, or is it something else that kind of fills up your cup? And, are those sort of some of the pressures and expectations, that come with graduating from college? Like, I gotta find a good job and I've got to do this. And I've got to kind of settle for what I think everybody else is doing my age. Does that loom in your guys' brains? Like, I'm settling to just find the next thing here in life, or what's your, are you, are you, are you not holding to those expectations of settling? It sounds like you're not. It sounds like you're just going for it and doing something that you want to do, right?
Mhm. Yeah. I don't think I would say that that falls under me. I kind of I kind of almost would rather take a route
Oh,
that
nice.
people aren't taking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of not concerned with what people my age might be doing
So you're
because
not influenced, I guess, if you will, right? You're like, I can do this. Yeah, I got this. Good
yeah,
for you.
like
Yeah.
it will fall into place. It'll figure itself out.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
Jack.
Yeah, I definitely want to, go down my own path. I want to accomplish the things that I want in life, and I have my own goals and aspirations, and I want to, charge after going to get those. Yeah, and we're on kind of the same track here, where one of my goals would be to have a house, to get married, settle down, have kids, do that whole thing. I think maybe with our generation, though, largely part of their concern is everything increasing in price,
Hmm.
and everyone feeling like things are less affordable, and there's all sorts of figures and numbers. If that's true or not, I guess I don't know. But the housing market is up quite a bit. It's expensive to get married, and I feel like quite a few people are pushing that type of commitment off just because
Mhm.
it is so expensive, and it's a concern for them.
Yeah. Shay, you relate with that as well?
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially because the job market is kind of difficult right now. So, yeah, I mean, things are a little less affordable, so I would agree that people are pushing other things off.
Yeah. You said the job market is difficult right now. Why do you think it's difficult?
I've just heard that there's a lot less opportunities. Like jobs are not hiring the way that they used to right now. So, and it's all connection based.
Hmm.
That's what I've heard. I mean, most people, I think one of the guys had a call with yesterday said that he would say that 80 or 90% of the people at his company got the job at their company because they knew somebody or they were friends with
Wow.
somebody already in the company. So I don't know if that's how it was in the past. I'm assuming not, but I think it's changed in that way where you kind of have to have an in to
Uh-huh.
get into a job. So I think that's where it becomes difficult, especially for kids who are just coming out of college, because how are they going to know some, real high up person unless that's just a family friend or something. So I would say in that way, it's difficult.
Yeah, you gotta have somebody kinda take a flyer on you, because
Right.
you're right, it's hard to make connections when you're just starting out, but,
Mhm.
uh, yeah, but you said the job market is difficult right now because not a lot of companies, you feel like, have a lot of opportunities. Jack, are you hearing those same things? I mean, obviously, it's in the news, there's numbers out there, but what are you hearing from 2 people that are in the thick of it right now? What do you think, Jack?
I think it's a unique time just because AI is changing quite a bit in the workforce. And I
Yeah.
don't think it's going to necessarily replace people in the workforce, but I think it'll change your jobs and make things more efficient where maybe you might not need as many employees. But I think that's also creating a lot of issues in the job market because, everybody says now you got to edit your resume with AI and make sure it's AI compatible and all of these things. But I don't know that the AI behind it is really working. Um,
Huh.
just doing, matching different things up. I've looked where I've put my resume through an AI assisted program and whatnot, and generated it with AI and did that whole thing, and then put it into an AI reader, that this ATS, applicant tracking systems that companies are supposed to be using and whatnot. And all of a sudden, it didn't even read the resume. So I used AI to help me, make it and whatnot, and then AI can't read it. So, there's a disconnect, I think, somewhere in there that makes it even more difficult. Kind of to Shay's point, if you don't know somebody and you're trying to get
Yeah.
out there and meet new people, if AI is disrupting that connection, it makes it even more difficult to enter in and meet new people.
So talk about ATS, applicant tracking systems. You brought this up to me. I had no idea about this, but it's super interesting. More or less what you're saying is you're writing your resume in some sort of a large language model that's specifically designed for resumes, right? And so it's wanting you to use these words and this is your experience. And then you send that resume off to a business and then they're running it through their AI tracker and it's trying to find maybe keywords. And if it's not finding those keywords, it just throws your resume to the side and you never get a call back. Is that it in a nutshell?
I don't have a tremendous understanding of it, but that's kind of been my experience or understanding. And
Okay.
even little things like formatting. So, like, if you use bullet points for your past experiences and, you were the director of this sales operation and you were responsible for meeting this KPI and three, bullet points listed out. Well, if you put that in with certain AI systems, they'll put a bullet point on each one. And then
Uh-huh.
depending on the ATS or applicant tracking system that it goes through, it might not recognize the bullet points, and then the whole line is messed up and nobody can read it, and there's just a bunch of blank spaces on your resume. So
Hmm.
somebody getting they don't even get a fair chance to look at you because they don't know what's on your resume. Or they're not even looking at it and the system is blocking it out before a person even looks at it. The system just says, "We can't read this," and throws it out. So,
Wow. Dude, that's
True.
crazy. Are you seeing that, Shay?
I'm not super familiar with that system, but I have heard of that
Okay.
kind of thing. Yeah, what he just described.
Did you guys both use some sort of ChatGPT or Grok on a daily basis, I'm guessing? Gemini, right? And did you have it help you write your resume? I mean, of course, is probably the answer, right?
Yeah, I did. But speaking with a couple of people, I kind of took what it wrote and then I wrote it in a way that I would write it, just because I've heard, at least from the people that I've been talking to in the field I'm looking into, they've kind of expressed employers' desire to see originality and my own kind of thing. So they'd rather see an accident or a mistake on the resume than have it perfectly written and all these big words. So I've been taking what it says and using, suggestions that it's like taken out, but then I've been rewriting it into my own to make it sound like me so that if they talk to me, they would be like, "Okay, yeah, she wrote this resume," versus like, "She doesn't even know what this word is."
Yeah,
You know what
some
I mean?
Einstein-like feature. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
gotcha.
So
That's 2 totally kind of different approaches that I saw you kind of reacting to that, Jack, a little bit like, what's your you kind of said, "Hey, I'm gonna use AI to the best of my ability here and try to use the system." And you're saying the system might not be all that great. It might not be helping me as much as I thought. And Shay's like, "I'm kinda forget the system. I'm going against the grain here a little bit."
yeah, I've tried a couple different methods. I've definitely just made my resume myself without any AI assistance. I've tried it with AI. There's also been other platforms that I've looked at in the past, to build a resume on, like resume builders. Uh,
Mhm.
Overall, I'm just finding that, a lot of the systems are just overrun with resumes, and the AI tracker, the ATS, it doesn't matter how you put it together, it's got to be formatted for ATS.
Mhm.
So I think that's the most important thing, is just trying to figure out the tricks of the trade on that side. Because if words and lines are getting blanked by the ATS where they can't read it, it's not going to work regardless. So yeah, I've tried a multitude of different options just to see what the best route is. Um, I don't know that I have the best route necessarily, because
Yeah.
I'm all for doing it myself and trying to display, a little bit of my own personality and showing that I care enough to put it together. Um, and I think there's value in that, but I think ultimately it's just what way people will what way it'll get through the system and people will get their hands on it. And I don't know that I have a good report on that.
Yeah. Well, if you think about businesses these days, they're all trying to be super efficient, you know? So they're all hang on a sec. They're all trying to be efficient. So even that includes the HR team. HR team is like, okay, we got this role that we need to fill. What's the most efficient way we can find the best applicant? Well, let's get in thousands of candidates and then let's use some sort of an AI system to weed out the ones that we don't want. If they graduated from Iowa State, well, we're not hiring them. You know, we just don't like the Cyclones, which I would encourage, by the way. Even though oops, even though my daughter, sorry for the technical difficulty, even though my daughter is going to Iowa State. So scratch that. I've got to learn to like the Cyclones. But, they're trying to be efficient. They're trying to do all these things really fast. And that puts you at a disadvantage when you're trying to stand out because how do you pass that at least first level? All you want to do is have a conversation with them ultimately, right? You just want your resume to cue a conversation, I'm guessing. Is that kind of what you're thinking, Shae? Is like,
Yeah,
just get me to the next level so I can get a conversation.
right.
Because it's all about connections and meeting people and having a talk. So yeah, it's interesting the way resumes work today, and maybe that'll be a thing in the past. And I think you guys are onto something by saying use your connections and use whatever network, be it really small, probably that you have right now. But I mean, Shae, for instance, you have the entire soccer ecosystem, not just at the University of Iowa, probably everywhere. There's a lot of people that play soccer, and there's a lot of jobs that that surround soccer, and a lot of personalities. So that's a network in and of itself, and you can kind of stand out, and people probably look to you. I don't know where you're from, but you went to a Division I school and played soccer, so you're probably a bit of a local hero when you go back home. Like she's the one that got out and made it, and all these kids want to be like you. And similar to you, Jack, like you graduated from college and it could be your family or little kids in your community. They're like, I want to do that someday. That's a really cool thing to do. It's not easy to go to school and graduate and go to a night class and take an online course. It's a grind and it's tough. And don't sell yourself short for that. I mean, not everybody does it. A lot of people don't graduate college. I don't know what the number is, but it's a pretty high percentage. So don't sell yourself out that way and use those networks. So I like those different suggestions. As far as when you do get into fields, let's get into kind of industries and fields now. What are some industries, and we can start with you on this one, Shae, that kind of stand out for you? You're an athlete. So you talked about being in a team and I feel like you're probably pretty coachable at this point in time. Being a coachable person is a good thing to be. And so what industries stand out to you that intrigue you at the early stages of your, career search?
Yeah, I've been looking into medical device sales.
Okay.
So whether I'd be a salesperson or I'd be someone within the marketing department of that medical device company, that's something I've definitely been honing in on. I've talked to a bunch of people from Arthrex and Intuitive and Stryker, um, and some of those big company names. So I've definitely been taking a look into that. I was originally a pre-med student when I was my first year of college. So that's something I've always kind of wanted to do. And then when I figured out that being an orthopedic doctor would take 70 hours of my week, I was no longer interested
Yeah.
because I do have a family
Yep.
and
Yep.
that was not going to work. So I switched over to business, graduated with my marketing degree. Um, and I love being with people. I love talking with people, but I'm still also really intrigued with medicine and medical modalities and rehab things. So that kind of ties the two together and allows me to be in the operating room and speak with doctors who are doing the surgery but not have to do the surgery and
Mhm.
things like that. So that's been a huge area for me. But then I'm also literally this week taking a step back and kind of looking at other strictly marketing positions that aren't sales to see if I'm missing anything in that area or if something could intrigue me within design because my dad, um, for my mom's birthday a few years back, they flipped a few houses by now, but he bought her this house that she thought was super cute and quaint and she could have done something with, and has an eye for interior design, so
Mm-hmm.
bought it for her, and she was able to do all the interior work and flip it, and then they resold it, and I loved seeing that process, and I
I
love
bet.
seeing those ideas come to life too, so maybe a marketing team for a designer or an interior, you know what I'm saying? So,
Uh-huh.
I think those 2 are kind of where I'm looking into, and then if something else pops and lands in my face and seems like I definitely need to do it, then maybe I'll go that route, but so far, those are the 2 things I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, and those seem like kinda independent type jobs. I don't know, I'm only guessing here, but I'm guessing you don't like to have 4 or 5 different managers telling you what to do every day, and each
No.
level of that. Yeah, you like to be like, "Hey, I got this," I tell me once and let me go do it, right?
Yeah, my 8th grade teacher, we had on her last day of school, she had, um, what was it? Future predictions she had for
Okay.
each of us, and hers for mine was that, I would have my own company because nobody was going
No one's gonna tell you
nobody
what to
was
do.
gonna be my manager.
Got it.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
I don't know, I love working with teams, but I don't like just doing mundane work over and over again because someone above needs it to be done, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
you're sort of a natural built-in leader. Were you a natural built-in leader on your soccer team?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
captain on a few of my teams growing up.
Okay, there you go. So, yeah, I mean, those are interesting fields where you can kinda be independent is the way I look at it, and,
Yeah.
no one's saying agriculture yet, but we haven't got to you, Jack, but yeah, that's the independence of being kind of having your own business a little bit, you kinda have your own book of business, and not everybody's telling you what to do, and micromanaging is such a
Mhm.
was a thing, like, in the '90s and the early 2000s. Like, you had these levels of command that I'd have to go talk to Barb, who had to talk to Tom, who had to talk to Larry to see if I could take Friday off because I wanted to take Friday off for whatever reason, and that's a thing, and I think your generation is probably a little bit less, "I don't wanna be coached like that. I got this. I can do this." Look at what I've done with my life already. And maybe that's not a generation thing. That's just a you thing. And so, no, that's very interesting. Jack, what about you? Industries that you're looking into and, maybe as you see yourself fitting in, what kind of level of management, or coaching or training do you think's best for somebody like you?
Yeah, I've been looking a lot, kind of at technology, maybe not directly technology sales per se or anything, but just how that's going to change different industries.
Mhm.
So as it relates to like medical, obviously technology is going to have an impact on medical sales, or as you mentioned, even agriculture. I mean, that's huge. Technology is going to revolutionize that.
Yeah.
So I've just been trying to identify different markets that I think technology is going to change, and finding opportunities within that. Um, in terms of how I'd like to be managed or what I think is, best maybe for kids my age as a generation, like I think a good amount of hands-on, but not from multiple people. I think having a good relationship with a manager is good. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know that it would be great kind of like what you were talking about Tom talking to Susie to Ben to figure out,
Yeah. Yeah.
decision. I think a more streamlined process is going to be what would speak to the most people in this generation.
Yeah. And we'll kinda close on this, and, those are great answers, by the way, and I think anybody listening to this is gonna kinda understand like I said, you guys are representing a giant. You're on this episode to talk about you, but you're also representing a lot of yous in your generation as well, and I'm guessing, a lot of people think the way you guys think, I would assume anyways. And so we can end on this last question. A big part of, I just I'll just go with my own family here. Like my son and daughter. My daughter is 17 years old and my son is 15. And they are way more, uh, filled with a worldview of faith and specifically Christianity and Jesus and the guidance and leadership that he can provide them than I even ever was considered close to when I was their age. Like, it wasn't even on my mind. And I honestly don't know how it happened. I mean, a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, it's you and your wife. You're such great influences." I'm like, "We're not. We're really not." I mean, we try really hard, but we're not. I mean, there's things that we aren't great at as parents, and they kind of found this on their own. And I don't know. I know we've talked about this, so I already know how you guys feel, but I'm interested to understand, like, how did you get to this kind of worldview? There's a basketball player for Iowa right now. His name's Bennett Sturts. You guys probably know who he is. Every game he scores like 25 points. He's a stud player, but every game he says, "Well, first and foremost, I just want to give all the credit to the Lord. I couldn't have done this without him." Every single game. The kid's like what, 20 years old? Where does that
Yeah.
come from? How do you I mean, what's the story there in a nutshell? How did you guys how did your generation is really moving towards Christianity as like a truth in your life, the one thing that's true or, holding on to? I don't know. I'm interested by it, and we'll kinda close on this. So, Shay, the floor is yours here.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've grown up in a Christian household, so
Okay.
that's something that's always been ingrained on me. Always went to church every Sunday,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't say it was fully my own until I was, like, out of the house, and I was like, "Okay, this is something I have to prioritize," you know? It's no longer like a fitness going to church, it's like, I'm going to church, I'm pursuing
Right.
this on my own. Um, so, I mean, I would definitely just say through sport. I mean, I've I would definitely say rougher I am I have a rougher experience. I'm more integrated with people who are in and of the world and don't have a faith than I am with people who do.
Hmm.
And that's very different from, I would say, my sister who goes to a private Christian college down in Indiana called Taylor.
Okay.
Um, and I even started off at Belmont University, which was a private Christian in Nashville. And I ended up leaving that. And that was definitely, you know, I mean, that was a private Christian school, but
Uh-huh.
I think for me, I've seen the most work in my life through the Lord, through soccer, because I would have to skip church every Sunday, or not every Sunday, but a ton of times growing up for a game, or I'd show up in my jersey, and I have to leave halfway through. So a lot of people can look at that as in, you didn't value my time in the church, or with God, but my time with the Lord was on the field because I had to deal with difficult people. I went through stuff with playing time that you cannot control. I've played with people who I would say 95% are not, have not been Christian. And I've seen the Lord work in their lives, and I've seen the kind of joy that He's brought to me through those people.
Uh-huh.
And so just I've been able to see the Lord work in the world, and I haven't been in a little bubble. I have not
Yeah.
been in a tiny little bubble where everyone thinks the same and does the same thing, and you know what I'm saying? I've seen different values, um, and it's super cool to see that, and so my view of the Lord is shaped through literally unbelievers that I've been with, and so I think that's been the coolest thing for me to see that he works in ways that you'd never think he does. Through people you would never think he does. Um and so that for me has been the coolest, most shaping thing. And then I've had to do a lot of work. I mean, Belmont was probably my worst time ever. I hated it there. Absolutely. Yeah, horrible. Was in and out in 5 months. And that was a Christian university, so, people from the outside could be like, "What? Like, how was that?" Blah,
Right, right.
But I would say that's where my faith kinda transformed because I was away from my family. I despised the level of soccer. I wasn't close, like, I didn't click with the girls, so it wasn't like I was with my best friends, and you know what I mean? So I was separated from pretty much everything, and it was kind of me at a point where I was like, he's literally all I have.
It's
Like,
exactly right.
I
Yep.
can't just run to my friends. I can call my mom for 5 hours, but once the phone calls up, that's it, you know what
I'm
I'm
still by
saying?
myself. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so that was definitely a transformative time, and then, moving to Iowa, I mean, it's just been super cool with everyone, and, this past year actually was we pray before every game, not the team, but a bunch of us girls,
Mhm.
and this year we had all but 3 girls on the team, and my first year here, it was 5 of us.
Wow.
So, it's been super, super cool to see that, and, every single one of those girls has had different walks in their faith, so some are just beginning, some are just now feeling convicted for XYZ things, just, we're all over the board.
Yeah.
Been super cool to be like, "I don't have to be in this perfect little bubble for the Lord to move. He will move wherever he wants to move and wherever people are willing to move." And so I've been able to see his work in kind of some of the least likely places. So I
That's
think that's why
awesome.
my faith has transformed. Um, we never got my coach. We he actually just the whole coaching staff just moved to Michigan actually, but it was always fascinating because the longer I was there, the more girls he brought in who were Christians and who did have a faith, but he wasn't.
Hmm.
So it was always like, "Hmm, you're
I wonder what's
attracted
going
to
on
something.
there.
I just
Yeah,
don't think you know that that's what you're attracted to." So,
he's asking
yeah,
the
it's been
questions and
interesting.
yeah, but
And
just
yeah, sport.
knowing, yeah, knowing that you had though you saw, you witnessed those miracles happen,
Yeah,
and until you actually see them and feel them, and then you start understanding all the stories. Like, okay, I get that he fed 5,000. I get that he healed the blind. I get that he stepped on the serpent's neck. Like, I get that he
yeah,
resurrected. All that makes a little bit more sense when you feel it yourself, and
right.
that's you're when you were saying that, the hair on the back of my neck stood up. So, so good. Thank you so much for that. That's not easy to do and be a testament to that. So, Jack, you're up. What about you? Where did that come from in you and through you? And I know, yeah, I'm sure you were like Shae, where, you grew up in the church, but what's your story?
Yeah. Well, first off, Joe, I appreciate you facilitating these types of conversations. It's great that you're able to be a leader and facilitate, getting the word out in this way. But yeah, I grew up in a Christian household. I remember really it was my dad. I remember my dad waking me up early on, Saturday, Sunday, and going to church. And kind of like Shay, I remember my first weekend on campus away from my parents, where it's like, all right, now I can pick if I want to go to church or not. And I remember
Yeah.
being, a little bit nervous about it, even like I've never gone just by myself. And I remember finding when the service was going to be and whatnot, and going out of my way to go there. And sure enough, they had changed their times and there wasn't even a service when
Oh,
I
no.
got
Oh,
there.
no. Yeah.
So so I actually missed my first week, but no, just that commitment and, choosing to do it really changed my life and really made it a responsibility and something that I picked to do, which was transformative for me, but, really just the background that I have, with my family, and even extended family. It's always been a strong commitment of ours to be dedicated to the faith, and I feel like when you are around people that can, show you the way and show you all the graces and the benefits of it, it's easier to practice at that point. When you're not in tune with that and you haven't seen anyone else live it out, it is a little bit difficult. And I feel like that's something that's really prevalent in this culture is, you get to see all these different people living these different lifestyles. But I feel like that's maybe part of what's bringing people back is they're seeing all of these people that aren't living good lifestyles, and then the people that do try to, change their ways a little bit and follow, the Christian way, and kind of the way that they get to live their lives. And it's attractive to people once they can see both sides of it and kind of see the truth being lived out by people. It welcomes them in to want similar experiences. At least that's been my experience. I can't speak for everyone, but that's kind of how I've ended up there is just yeah, a strong Christian family and good leadership, and then just being able to see it in other people and have good role models and who I want to be when I get older.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And Michael, once again, it's not easy just to say those things as young people. And you know, like I think of Tom Brady. He won 7 Super Bowls, and he's been asking multiple interviews, like, okay, you did all these awesome things. Like everybody, it's kind of like Samson in the Bible, or not Samson, Solomon, King Solomon in the Bible. If you guys don't know that story, look it up. But he had everything. He had everything you could ever imagine. And he wrote the book Ecclesiastes, and at the beginning of it, it's basically like it's all meaningless. Like life is sort of meaningless without God and
Mhm.
without the faith and without somebody to talk to when times are tough, when nobody else can listen, you know. So uh, you might want the greatest job on earth, and I'm here to tell you that your priorities are going to change, and who you work with is going to change. But the one constant is in your life, you guys already know. And you already know at such a young age, and that will be with you for your whole life. And you can influence people. You already saw that in Shae, and even with you, Jack, it's just saying, you know what, I'm going to go to church on my own. No one's telling me to do this. I'm just doing it. And you could be such an influence in people's life that way. So the world's in good hands with you two. And hopefully, I know you represent a large swath of people just like you. And I'm super excited for the future, and I'm optimistic for it. I feel lucky to have people like you coming in the world, and I have nieces and nephews about your age, and one of these days I'll have them on the show as well, and we can talk. And they're very similar to you guys, and I'm excited for a good future. And for those out there listening, Shae and Jack, why don't you tell people how to get in touch with you? What's your social channels? What's your LinkedIn? What's your email address? Go ahead and give those out there if they want to get in touch, and I'll put them in the show notes as well. So we'll end on that. Shae, go ahead.
Yeah, I really only use Instagram and LinkedIn.
Okay.
So if they want to get in touch with me, they're both Shae M. Doherty. Just my name, my middle initial, and then my last name.
Okay. Perfect. I'll put that in the show notes. Jack.
Yeah, I'm mainly active just on LinkedIn. Just my name, Jack O'Brien. And you know, I have my email too if anyone wants to reach out that way. Jack period O'Brien 324 at gmail.com. Happy to connect with anyone on LinkedIn. Always looking to grow my network. So it would be great to grow.
Awesome. Well, Jack, Shae, thank you so much. Listeners, thank you for this one. This one, I think this is going to resonate well with people because, like I said, we just want to hear from. We give a lot of people platforms that have a bunch of experience and wisdom, but it's time to start giving you guys platforms to know what you want and what you're looking for and what really, fills you up in life. And like I said, I'm proud to walk in I'm proud to know you and to know that you're going to be doing great things someday. So makes me feel happy just as a citizen and as another person and a human. So good job. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate both of you.
Yeah, well, thank you, Joe. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Reach driven leaders with the Germinate podcast. Sponsor our show to align your brand with actionable insights and purposeful growth. Contact us today at embosales.com/podcast. That's www.embosales.com/podcast to partner and inspire our growing audience of professionals. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning into the Germinate podcast. If you found value in today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with others in the industry. And join me next time as we continue to explore the innovations and strategies shaping the future of agriculture and business. Until then, keep growing, keep innovating, and keep germinating your success.